Hi, my name is Sara Wallace, and I am a public horticulture student here at Oklahoma State University. I'll be speaking with you this morning about Fire Blight. Here at the Botanical Garden, we have Fire Blight on 3 of our fruit trees this year. And across the state, we have had Fire Blight very badly, unfortunately. Fire Blight is a condition where the bacteria enters into a tree and it overwinters in a canker. This is actually this diseased part right here, and whereas the broken area is broken on the bark and the bacteria stays here over winter. Then in the spring, as the tree puts out its new growth, it also oozes a tan substance. Unfortunately, bees, insects, and birds that land on this substance then accidentally take it to other blooms. So the infections are mostly seen in spring once during the bloom. The blooms open, they look fine, the pollinations or the pollinators bring it actually into the bloom, and therefore the infection starts. You will then see in a couple weeks, sometimes a couple days, sometimes a couple weeks, you will see this blackened or darkened leaves and whole structure, and sometimes blackened fruit. This is an Asian pear. This disease then continues to live in the bark and overwinter next year and start again. Here at Oklahoma State, this is our Asian pear that's diseased, and then we have a couple other trees that are diseased. So for control on this one, for looks and for keeping the fruit for the rest of the season, we are going to go ahead and remove the dead parts. So I'm going to remove this right here, and with all diseased material, you want to throw it away, not compost it, and remove it from your site. Now, if I was actually cutting back all the way for the disease, I would go ahead and cut it back. I would follow my disease was here, and I would actually cut back, since it's 12 inches lower than the most recent infection. Oh, there's one down here, so I would have to cut it back way back here. So in the winter time, I'm going to come back and actually cut that tree way back here. Since we have this disease in this whole tree, we would actually end up cutting all of the scaffolding or all these main branches back at the base. So we will probably have to face the decision of removing this tree or of top working and trying to find disease-resistant varieties that will actually graft on top of those in the early spring. So our biggest control measures are disease-resistant varieties. This is our Pink Lady Supreme. It was planted in 2014, early this spring, and its very first bloom got Fire Blight, and the very top died back, and the first set of leaves died back. Unfortunately, we sent it to the plant pathology lab, and they said, yes, you have Fire Blight. Go ahead and remove 12 to 14 inches. So we actually cut it back, and actually, it's doing really well now. Unfortunately, this variety is susceptible to Fire Blight. And then this is our apple tree that also got Fire Blight. This is a Fuji Apple, and they're also highly susceptible to Fire Blight. And it's here we can actually really see how the disease entered a bloom out here and traveled all the way down the to a main branch, and then that follows all the way back. And the same thing with this one. If we follow the disease all the way back, we actually come back here and we actually have disease on the trunk. So this apple tree is going to have to be removed. Number one, it has had the disease multiple years in a row, and number two, the disease is systemic. It's all the way throughout the whole tree, and we will need to do something about that. So in terms of prevention, the biggest part is to actually buy disease-resistant varieties. The second thing is, even if you buy resistant varieties, you may still get the disease. The most common time is at bloom time, and then it's 75 to 85 degrees during the daytime, humid, rainy weather, and oftentimes hail can actually be if there's an injury to the actual tree. Those conditions, along with susceptibility, equal that you are going to get Fire Blight. But you may get it 1 year and then not have it again for 10 years. So we're talking about removal for trees that have gotten it repeatedly and you have a systemic infection. If you actually have a tree that is doing well and only gets it once, you can actually remove the infected parts back the 12 inches lower than the actual infection, and then the next year be prepared for a spray schedule. You can actually spray organic solutions. Gardens Alive has a fruit tree schedule that they recommend. You can also spray agromycin or streptomyces that you can get at your local cooperative. Actually, at bloom time, I think it's every 5 days. So it's more prevention, control, removing the diseased material, and then hopefully trying again next year and finding varieties that will produce fruit in your backyard.